Like,
Welcome back to the Thoughtful Advocate podcast. I'm your host, Elizabeth Teo, and I need to tell you something that took years for me to admit. For most of my life, I thought being nice was my greatest strength. I was the person that anyone could count on, the friend you confide in. If you needed help, anything my family needed, I would drop everything and do it. And yeah, I was the person who never said no. And you know what? It almost destroyed me. If you ever felt like your cup was completely empty because people would drain you and you would let them, if you're terrified that your best friend's not going to be your best friend anymore because you're finally setting boundaries, or if you're trying to fix people that won't change no matter how much advice you give them, this video is for you. Honestly, I've been there and dug myself out. If you're new here, subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow my podcast anywhere you can find podcasts. Today we're gonna go over 3 painful lessons that I've learned in my life. 1, why being too nice allows people to take advantage of you. 2, the exhausting reality of what people pleasing is and where it really comes from. 3, this is the hardest lesson of them all. Why you can't fix people, no matter how hard you try. Let me take you back to high school. Those were the days I would do whatever I was told. So as soon as I come from school, my dad would tell me to chop vegetables, wash the dishes, and do all the chores. We did that. I was never allowed to go out, so I would always be waiting for my friend to text or call me. They would usually reach out if they had a problem. And I'm talking about specific that I'm no longer friends with. And yeah, would always chat over Facebook Messenger if she had boy problems, money issues. I would always be there for her. And I thought I was being a good friend. I always thought I was just being a good friend. But I think there was a point where I was constantly overextending myself and it just drained my energy. I'm not going to name who the person is for privacy reasons. I don't have any resentment towards them. It's just a story and a lesson I wanted to share. She was always having guy issues, and I would always be there consoling her and advice because she would always tell me the negative things about them. My advice was you should stop talking to him if he's treating you like this. No matter how much time I spent with her telling her these things, she would agree with me and then still be with them. So there's a point where I should have just really backed off and just let her do her thing because I can't make people do things. And that's what I had to realize. No matter how much I cared for her, want the best for her, I still do. But I had to learn that I can't change people. Another issue I really struggled with was treating people's issues like they were my own. I would add more burdens to my own life because I really cared and I wanted to take away their problems so much that I made it my own. Yeah, it just drained me emotionally. I would either always be studying or trying to fix people's problems. It was always up to the person to make the change themselves, and that's what I've come to realize. In school projects, I'm always that person who does most of the work. Teachers would put me with people who do the least work. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll just do this myself. And then I remember thinking, why do I feel so drained? Why am I unhappy? And why do I feel like I have the weight of the world on my shoulders? It was because I was taking on everyone's problems. Maybe I was being too nice. I was offering myself as a doormat for people to walk all over. The worst part is the only person I have to blame is myself because I allowed this to happen. If you see yourself as someone who's there to serve and people please, then people will take full advantage of that. I was always the person who would say yes, even though my mind was screaming no. I always felt guilty for taking time for myself. I even feel it now when I'm resting, even though I'm exhausted in my 3rd trimester. I couldn't fully rest. I've definitely gotten better because I know that I'm growing a baby and I need this rest, but it took me a long time to get to this point. I would always stay silent when people cross me down, so maybe they talked down upon me, or they're doing something that I don't like. I just don't say anything because I'm too afraid. And yeah, I still deal with this issue today, but I've definitely gotten better. I always put people's needs above my own. Just know you're not alone, and feel free to leave a comment so others know that other people are going through the same thing. We're going to talk about why people take advantage of nice people. It's just human nature. When you're too nice, it means you're also a passive person. You don't like conflict. You don't state what you need. That resentment builds up inside you until you finally explode. You don't set a boundary, so people will push further to see what they can get out of you. And then you start feeling used and resentful, but you still don't speak up. They learn your no doesn't really mean no, just maybe later. According to psychology, the attachment theory, people often struggle with being too nice, often develop what's called secure attachment styles in their childhood. Studies show that people with anxious attachment styles are more likely to engage in excessive caregiving to maintain their relationships. Clinical psychologists call this self-sacrificing schema. It means that as a child, you learn that your self-worth was based on how useful you were. That pattern follows us into adulthood if we don't break it. For people pleasers out there, here are some signs that people are taking advantage of you. 1, they only reach out if they need something. They don't check in on you, or maybe they do say, "How are you?" but they don't actually mean it. You can usually tell because you say how you are, but they don't ask further questions or really care. They'll just dive into their issue right away and dismiss you. Another thing is your no is always up for negotiation with them. They'll guilt trip you, they'll push you back, act like you're the crazy one, but in reality they are. Of course, they never reciprocate. You call them for a 2 a.m. crisis and where are they? And then they start to make you feel guilty for having boundaries. Like all of a sudden you're a problem because you want to prioritize yourself. Here's what changed everything for me. People unfortunately will treat you exactly how you teach them to treat you. If you don't value your time, your self-care, or yourself in general, why should they? I wanted to get real with you on what people pleasing really looks like. It's not just about being too nice. For me, it was putting aside self-care. Like maybe I really needed a shower or sleep, but I would just stay up longer because they needed. This could look like canceling appointments that you need, saying yes when your gut is saying no, feeling anxious before any actual conflict. I feel like this definitely stems from childhood trauma, especially if you've been through abuse. And checking your phone obsessively, making sure that everyone's okay with you, that they're not mad at you. And finally, being so physically exhausted that you're unable to stop. I was literally pouring from an empty cup and felt like I was drowning. I think the fear of rejection really kept me going. I didn't want to be abandoned because my dad didn't care about me. And oftentimes other family, if I lose my friends, what am I going to have left? I never wanted to seem selfish or mean because that's just something that Chinese people don't do. They always put their family first, but there's a point. The saddest part is thinking I only was valuable because I was useful to someone. I think for me, things started to change when I really looked further into people pleasing, how to stop. But it took years of practice, years of therapy. Therapy really helps because it helps you unpack the reasons why you're doing certain things and it allows you to see the patterns that you may not see yourself. And yeah, through therapy, I learned that love was conditional, that I had to manage my own parents' emotions. So that meant not doing anything to make them mad. Conflict, yelling, anger, they all triggered me because I thought something negative was going to happen because I would always get hit after that point. And this video is not about blaming your parents. It's really about taking responsibility for yourself and your actions. I truly believe once we understand our own patterns, we can break them ourselves. We don't need anyone else. If you're waiting for your parents or your ex to say sorry to you, you really have to question yourself and say, hey, it's time for me to change and take accountability. Those people are no longer in my life and I can move on. Another big lesson is that people pleasing is really a trauma response. It's the Fawn response that psychologists call, or basically if you say yes and you never say no and you're always smiling and happy and nice, then nothing bad can happen to you. But that's not true. I felt like I was living in survival years after I've gotten away from my abuse. And yeah, I just couldn't get out because I was still being the victim and blaming everything on them when I could have I just had the key the whole time. I could have just unlocked the door. I think the hardest part is in friendships because for me, friendship was always so important. I never really had family I could talk to emotionally who would understand. Friends were my safe space. So I was always proud of being the supportive friend, the friend who would be there 24/7, constantly online, ready for them to talk to, basically the 24/7 therapist. Without the training, if they need advice or help, I would drop everything. Like I said before, you can give your friend all the advice in the world, but it could be up to them whether they take it or not. Sometimes they'll be giving the same advice, especially when it comes to boys. And it'll be months of giving the same advice, nothing changes. You really have to point, try to conserve your energy and hope that they figure this out themselves. Of course, you can be there for them, but you gotta put your needs first because it is draining emotionally to deal with other people's problems. Research shows that the most successful change comes internally rather than from external pressures. You can't want someone to heal more than they want it themselves. No matter how much you want someone to heal from a situation or move on, they can't really move on until they do it themselves. Sometimes you just have to let someone hit rock You can be there for them when they need you, as long as you're still taking care of yourself. Everyone has their own timelines, their own way of doing things. Unfortunately, your solutions may not always be their solutions. Sometimes they really just have to go through it. You can't take anyone's pain away. I really had to learn the difference between supporting and enabling someone. I'm here if you're ready to take action, setting boundaries around your time and your energy, not always being available 24/7 because we can't be if we're taking care of ourselves, especially if we have dependents, and just believing in them. I think that's also a way you can support your friend, believing that they can change. Here's what enabling looks like, and this is what I did for years. Let me fix this for you. Being available 24/7 no matter what. Dropping your call, maybe you're in the middle of a shower, treating the person like they're helpless. These people are not helpless. And giving advice that they never asked for. I've come to accept that being a good friend isn't about sacrificing my own well-being. It doesn't mean I'm a 24/7 on-call therapist, and that I can't fix anything, and that I can't force anyone to change. So yeah, I realized almost 30 years, it's not my job to fix someone, it's my job to fix myself. Okay, so you might be wondering, how did you actually change that? And the truth is, it didn't happen overnight. This took years of practice, years of me practicing saying no, setting boundaries, years of standing up for me. At first, it's really awkward, and you feel like something horrible is going to happen. So you might put it off for a while. But once you actually start to do it, you realize that person starts to respect you more, or you start to resent them less because you finally put firm boundaries. I was just never as bad as I imagined would turn out. The worst situation I had in my head just never came true. If someone asks you, are you free tomorrow? Let's go out. If you're a people pleaser, you're probably going to want to say yes immediately, but take some time to say, let me think about it and I'll get back to you on this. Also something wonderful, which I use all the time now, called do not disturb. So can't be available 24/7. And you can set it where you're not getting calls after 9 p.m. Understanding that no is a full sentence. You don't have to over-explain yourself. You can just say, no, sorry, I can't make it. Step 2 is really dealing with that fear. This is where meditation really helps, because when you're meditating, you have no distractions. Whatever comes up, you just let it float down the river. Dealing with people's emotions is uncomfortable. You just remind yourself that this is not your problem to fix. The truth is, disappointing people is not an emergency that you have to fix. Over time, you'll start to see people who actually respect you and care about you, because you'll no longer tie your self-worth to how useful you are. So if they want to stick around and be your friend, it means they're a true friend. And yeah, step 3 is fill your own cup first. So you need a shower, take the shower. Schedule your therapy appointments, your workout appointments, and really question what's energizing me versus what's draining me. Schedule what's energizing you on your calendar first. Step 4, I set clear boundaries with people, which was really hard for me because it always felt like I was trying to be mean, and I think it was because I was just not used to it. So with friends that I used to spend hours on the phone with, I just stopped being so available because I knew it drained me. I had to put myself first. And I think this really solidified once I had a baby, because I just don't have the energy or the time anymore. So now I can just be more firm with my time and my energy. And if it ever got too much, I would just suggest maybe seeing a therapist or just getting help. And so you're probably wondering what happens after you set these boundaries. 1, you have a lot more energy for yourself and the people that matter to you. 2, the real relationships, people who actually want to stay in your life, stay, and people who don't, they go. You figure out who the real ones are in your life. 3, you feel less resentful of people because now you're able to set boundaries with them and you show them that you value your time. And because of that, you might get actually more respect from people. And for the first time, you might actually find your own voice instead of saying what you think you should say. And of course, it's all scary. That's why this takes practice and time, and the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. And I think the biggest lesson of all is that I learned that I'm not responsible for other people's emotions. How they react to my boundaries is really a reflection on them and not me. So if you know someone who needs to hear this message, please share it with them, and subscribe to my YouTube channel, podcast, and follow me on Instagram at The Thoughtful Advocate. Okay, bye. Today's sponsor is Kind Laundry. Just kidding, they're not really a sponsor, but I do have an affiliate code. Kind Laundry use natural ingredients, and it actually comes in these sheets. So much more useful than liquid laundry detergent, because that stuff gets messy. With Kind Laundry, you can bring this anywhere. It's literally in a box, packed in a suitcase, and is that easy. You can get 10% off by using code 0wasteQ.